yeah. So look, let's get this one done ASAP. I'm under the gun. I got a time crunch here. And first of all, guys, before we get to it, I'm going to ask Jeff about a doubles thing today. So if you're a doubles player, you're going to kind of dig this thing. If you're a singles player, hang in there anyway. Might be good for you. Before we get started, just a reminder, Jeff and I are offering a free complimentary on us, on the house, no charge, 10-minute coaching call. Just the three of us. It's on the phone. And all we ask is that you bring that one thing in your game right now that you're kind of struggling with, can't really figure out. We want to help point you in the right direction so that you can resolve that and just maybe even go out on the tour. I mean, it's just boom. It's the golden nugget that puts you on the tour. Anyway, so the way to do that, if you're not in our email list, go over to goalballhunting.com, put in a first name, email address, and you will get dropped into our online calendar scheduler. And again, if you're already on our email list, at the end of every one of our emails, there is a link that will take you to the scheduler. You can cherry pick a date and time that works best for you. So, Jeff, I want to ask you today this thing about when you're up at net and doubles and your partner's in the backcourt. And let's say, back in the baseline, let's say that you've got, your partner's returning serve. And serve comes in. And you don't really have, that there's that server's partner up there who really hasn't poached since 1983. All right, let's call it 1993. Maybe there was one poach in there.
All right, there was one in there.
In those 10 years. A lot of the guys out there will tell you, well, don't ever look back at your partner. Don't look back. Always key on that player that's right there on the diagonal from you.
Right.
And I've always said, well, I don't do that because I kind of want to see what my partner's doing, right? I want to see what shot might be coming, which would give me more information about what I'm going to do next in terms of court positioning or what shot I might be thinking about playing. I'll get more information by actually taking a quick peek, a glance, rather than waiting for this guy who hasn't poached since 1993 to somehow tell me with his movement of what's going on back there behind me. And it happens not only in that situation, but when your partner's serving, the return goes by you, and and everyone says, well, don't look back. It's like a cardinal sin in doubles to turn and look back. So, anyway, what do you think? I mean, I'm sure you've heard this from a lot of teaching pros, a lot of coaches saying, don't ever look back. And players hear it all over the place, and they go, well, And so when I say, I'm like, infidel in the temple.
Yeah, that's interesting because my initial doubles training was definitely that. Don't look back. Key on the next person who has the best chance of hitting the next ball, which would be the net guy, right? So I'm going to square to him a little bit and kind of look to see, is he raising his racket? And, I've never had a net player yet lie, especially if the ball is coming to them, that they're raising the racket and then just kidding, and have the ball go cross court. I've never ever had that in my career.
Or the fake, not the fake poach, but the fake, it's coming to me. Uh-oh, no, it didn't.
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, gotcha. Never ever had that happen.
Uh-huh.
So there's no fear there that's going to happen. So, but initially, I was in the school of don't look back and do that, which is efficient. I mean, especially as long as you're efficient at looking at the cues of the players across the net, because they will react very fast to what's going on, especially the net guy. He's going to react very quickly and let you know whether he's got the ball or he doesn't. So, but later, as I've gotten into, since jumping back in 2012, you talked about it. It was coined as a cardinal sin Well, I'd say Bob and Mike Bryan are the biggest sinners on the planet then, because if you watch them play, they are constantly, looking back and checking out
Yeah.
what each other is doing,
Yeah. Right.
And so there is insight there if you know how to read a stroke. Now, this is the caveat I'll put in there. It doesn't do us any good to look back if I don't know how to read my partner's strokes, like what they're doing with the ball.
Yeah, right.
So this idea might be for more advanced players, maybe 4 or 5 or better.
Well, I would say that
I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about that. That's just an honest assessment there. But I find myself, I do look back now. I check a little more frequently. It's not every time though. I'll say I run 50-50.
Well, I'll tell you. I mean, the times I look back are probably more because I want to see, is my partner in trouble? Like it's been a big first serve, or
Right.
a big shot coming in, and I just if I sense that they're in trouble, and I can see it, and I will start to give myself a little bit of room there to back up to help
Right.
defend of what the possibility might be. Now, look, if I'm playing with someone where it's like a slow incoming second serve, and I know my guy or my gal over there is going to handle it.
Right.
I don't need to look back.
Right.
Right. So I'm going to sort of start. In fact, I won't even wait on the service line if they're returning
Right.
serve. I'll start to move in. It's kind of like, well, when we're serving, we know that our partner is not ever going to be in trouble, right? So we don't have to wait on the service line to see.
Right.
Are they putting up this completely high lob and oh my
Right.
God, I better back up. And so for me, it's more based on that. Like for sure, once we get the 4 of us are kind of getting in tight and closer. I mean, I can't be snapping my head back and forth because as soon as my partner hits the ball, it's on them in a heartbeat. So
Right.
I'm not looking back in those situations, but I think players need to realize it's not a hard and fast rule. And
Right. I think too for the 3-5, 3-0, 3-5, 4-0 players too. And this is what I've noticed is when they look back, they shut down because they kind of move themselves out of being involved in the point to becoming a spectator. And so that's what I would say is the number one danger in doing this is not even realizing you've stopped adjusting, you've stopped moving to see what your partner's doing.
Right. Right.
And so that's something I've noticed in that quest. So I'm very cautious about, having that level of player do that because they're not in the habit yet of adjusting when everybody hits the ball. Every time the ball gets hit, we should be adjusting. Every time when a partner hits the ball, I make an adjustment. When whoever over there hits the ball, I make an adjustment. What I mean? It's constant.
And when you say adjustment, you mean court position, right? So
court positioning, right? Who am I squaring to? What am I paying attention to? What are the signs, in the sky right now? What's going on?
That's right.
And so I'd say that's the biggest danger for those lower levels of players in the 3-0, 3-5s, and even in the 4-0s is shifting from participating to spectating would be the biggest danger in that, and not why. You have to keep in mind, why am I looking?
Right.
I'm looking to get a read so I can better position myself because of what I'm anticipating coming off my partner's racket, or I can see they're in a whole bunch of trouble. I should just bail out here and back up, or whatever the situation might be.
Right.
But I'm looking for a purpose. I'm just not looking to go, hey, great get, partner.
Right. Yeah. So I just videotaped, video recorded a guy here in the desert, sort of like a 3-7, 3-8 guy. And it was interesting to watch him when he started up at net, is that not only did he not look back, so when the ball went past him, he not only did not look back, but he looked at the guy directly in front of him, who was normally the guy who was back. So he was getting no read from obviously looking at what was happening with his partner. And sometimes I like to know if my partner, even if it's an easy ball, are they about to drive it or are they about to lob it? And I want to see the quality of the lob. If the lob has not got quality, if it's short,
Right.
I don't want to wait for this guy to kind of give me the information or the, hey, dude, I'm coming at you. I want to back up. But this guy, not only was he not looking at his partner, but he wasn't looking at the diagonal or on the diagonal towards that opposing net player. Just kept looking straight ahead. And if the lob went over his head, he just kept looking forward and then shifted to say, you know, I'm moving over here. And so it really just kind of got me thinking that we've been, I think, too many players. And I asked him afterwards, I said, you know, what's the deal here? Have you been coached? He says, yeah, I was told, don't ever look back. And I go, okay, well, all right. So there's fine. You've got an excuse, right, for what you're doing. But then we kind of talked about it, and I said, look, you have a role up here, other than just hanging out in this one spot, right, and waiting for the ball to come to you.
Fishing off the same rock all day.
Right, and there was one ball that he was over on the. I think his partner was serving the ad court, and he stood in the middle of the box, and the ball kind of went by him pretty close, which he could have taken with a backhand volley, but he let it go by. Yours. And he kept looking at this guy in front of him, and now all of a sudden his guy on the outside has to move over to the middle, and this guy hasn't moved away to open up the middle. So now all of a sudden this guy's going, well, I can't hit a groundy back up the middle, cross court. So, I guess that was just a little bone I wanted to pick with everybody. That look, I mean, it's not a hard and fast rule, and just like you were saying, when you're up at net in doubles, it's a constant adjusting, moving position, depending on where the ball is. And
my adjustments and my movement are going to be close to what my partner's doing. I should be, almost like just as winded if it's a longer point as my partner because of my adjustments, right? I should be, I may not hit the ball 4 or 5 times in a row.
Right.
I may not hit the ball at all during a 6 rally point.
Right.
But that doesn't mean I haven't worked my butt off.
Well, and it doesn't mean that you haven't influenced the opponent.
Right.
In terms of where they're hitting the shots, and it doesn't mean that after the 6 rally point that your movement, because you were always in the right place at the right time, didn't influence that opponent in some way where they simply missed a shot because they were focused on you.
I love that part of the game in doubles. That's part of the doubles game that I really enjoy is how much influence can I have and never touch the ball.
There you go.
And get the guy to think that there's room down my line and watch him miss it all day long by a half an inch or a couple inches wide.
Right.
Because he's sure that space is available.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll keep feeding that dog all day long.
Right.
And so that's part of the game that I really enjoy is how much influence can I have without touching the ball. And I think, the player that you just described, has been unfortunately pigeonholed into this idea that the game is played in this linear box, and I wish if I could invent a doubles court that once the serve got hit, all the interior lines disappeared. I think that would be a fun exercise to play the doubles game without the interior lines because it's all geometry at that point.
Right, that's right.
So some players get distracted by the lines on the court, thinking they need to return to the middle of their half, thinking they need to square to the person in front of them, and so the lines on the court become a deterrent from them actually being in the right position.
Yeah.
So
that's an interesting thought. Well, listen, guys, hope you got a little something out of today's podcast with the great Jeff Jacklich, who, by the way, is recovering. He's been under the weather, and yet he's showing up every day doing this thing because he cares about you. He doesn't care. He loves you. He's trying, even though he's sick and under the weather, he wants you to become a better tennis player. So Anyway, with that said, guys, listen, just one quick reminder. We're still offering a free 10-minute coaching call with me and Jeff. Private call, the three of us. Got to bring that one thing in your game that you're struggling with. Maybe it's singles, maybe it's doubles, something like we talked about today. Go over to goldballhunting.com, first name, email address, and you'll get dropped into our online calendar scheduling software. I didn't know how that was going to finish. Anyway, guys, it's time to get out there today, help someone else have a spectacular day. But before we let the fine folks leave, Jeff, what is it we want them to do right now?
Like us, share us, please subscribe. Let us know what you think down below.
Good stuff. Guys, thanks for hanging out with us today. Jeffrey, we're going to do this again tomorrow.
Can't wait.